everyone, welcome to Development of Exceptional Children, ECED 2360. So my name is Misty Hayes and I'm an instructor for this course. So if you look here on the course homepage, this is where we're going to start. So this course homepage is where I'm going to be posting news items. So anytime you log into your course, you will see that it has certain news items. So this that you see now is going to be how you get started. So it gives you a little bit of a synopsis about the course. It also gives you how to get started section in the welcome message. So I want to start up here at the top and kind of let you see what is on the home page or the news page. So obviously on the left side is going to be the news. So each week or every 2 weeks, because every time we're doing our course, you have 2 weeks to complete it. So I will be posting the videos for an overview of each module. I also will post some important things or videos on here as a bulletin. So this is an important page. So this will be on the left side. On the right side of the course homepage, you're going to see our calendar. So this is just upcoming events, when things open, any quizzes you need to take, when they close, when assignments are due, etc. So this is a very important page for students. So the first section, as I mentioned, is going to be a course description telling you a little bit about the course. And as we move down, you're going to see the welcome message. So this is really important message. If you haven't read it already, please go ahead and read it. It helps you get started. It gives you some important links such as the academic calendar, the Water State homepage, in addition to some of the course orientation activities that you need to complete this first week of classes. So you'll see the first thing is going to be your syllabus. The syllabus is important. It gives you the expectations for the course, information about grading, how this class will be conducted, etc. So you're going to read through the syllabus. You will also be introducing yourself on the discussion board as well as taking the pre-test. So the discussion board is really going to count as your attendance activity for the week. And remember, your attendance is tied in with your financial aid. So it's imperative that you complete these course orientation activities. So please go ahead and complete that. The other thing you'll notice is a link to our course schedule calendar. The course schedule calendar is important because it helps you keep up with dates. So this is an online course. However, you will still have due dates despite when you log in. So you will log in when your schedule deems fit, but you still have to follow the due dates in the course calendar. I also posted here a video for you about how to navigate eLearn and the course content. So if you're unfamiliar with eLearn, it may be helpful for you to watch that video. I also tell you how this class is going to be conducted. If you scroll down a little further, you're going to see our textbook. So the textbook's called The Exceptional Child, Inclusion in Early Childhood Education. The important thing to note here is that you do need to get the correct edition. We are using the 9th edition. So it's from the publishing company Cengage. I also list some other important links, like links to the library if you want to check out equipment. And also how to download Microsoft Office 365, which is free to students at Water State if you don't have it already. I went ahead and included my office phone number should you need to contact me, as well as my senator's email. If you scroll down a little further, this is going to be where you're going to be posting and choosing your case study child that you choose for the semester. I will come back to this once we have acclimated, probably within module 2, we'll start talking about that. Your job right now, before you send me your case study child choice and email it to me, is you are going to be looking through the case study project and the children that you could use, and you're going to pick one of the case study children, and then I will go ahead and put it on here for you. You do not have to worry about that. I just like to post the table here so everyone can see in case you forget which child you chose. Before I get into the course content, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about how to navigate through the course tab. So as I mentioned, you are in the course homepage tab. Anytime that you log into the course, it will take you to the course homepage where the bulleted news items are. You can always get back to it by selecting course home. The next tab you have is the course information, and the two that you're going to most likely use from this section is going to be the content, where all the course content is stored, and the grades section, where you'll be able to view your grades and feedback for your assignments. The communication tab, you will probably just be using the email selection. The email allows you to email me or other people in the class. The assessments tab is where you will see discussions, Dropbox, and quizzes. So any discussion assignments you have to complete, you can select the discussions, Dropbox. It will take you to Dropbox where you will submit your assignments, and then quizzes, this is where all the quizzes will be. The course tools, you will be using the class progress selection, and this is going to show you your class progress throughout the semester, and then you will also use the class list, and this is a good way to see all the people that's in the course, as well as maybe email a peer or email me, your instructor. The resources tab is a wonderful resource for you as a Water State student because it has links that takes you to all the offices on the campuses, such as counseling and testing, writing lab, math lab, tutoring, the library, the bookstore. So this is a really good resource to get you to the correct office. The student help button is also helpful. If you are unfamiliar with eLearn, it has a video series that's helpful that helps you navigate eLearn content, as well as how do you do discussion boards, how do I post, how do I reply, how do I take a quiz. So it's really helpful if you're unfamiliar with this learning management system. If you do not want to watch the videos, they do have a PDF guide as well, so that will be helpful to you if you prefer to read and write as a learner. So those will probably be the two. The other one to look at too that might be helpful for you is the Water State Student Help Desk. This will take you to the IET Computer Help Desk. So that's just a quick link for you as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into course information and select content so we can kind of view how the content is laid out. And then walk you through the Getting Started module and then our first week's content. So as you see here, when you first get into the course content page, you're going to see a table of contents on the left-hand side. It is laid out very linear, you'll see. So as you are clicking through, it will go down and check off as you are reading through the course content. So it's very easy to follow. The first thing you're going to see at the top is a schedule and appointment with Misty Hayes. Now this is just giving you my office hour schedule of when I can meet with students. So if there's any time that you want to meet with me in person or virtually, I'll be more than happy to meet with you. I do list my office hour schedule there so you can see if there's any time that might work with your schedule. If you do want to meet with me, just send me an email telling me your available times, and then we can go from there. Now, the first module that you need to get started with and read and go through is going to be the Module 1 Getting Started. This is just going to be the course orientation. It tells you all the expectations and things that you need to know to be successful in this course. So the first one is going to be an overview of the course. It kind of lays it out how all the modules are. This is also important for you to look at. You'll see here that it tells you what you must do for this module, what you need to do, read, post, email, take. So this is very helpful for students. Each module will have an overview, and each module is also going to have our course objectives. The learning objectives for this module stated of what you should do after reading and going through the Getting Started module. So then we move on to the first lesson, and each module you're going to have a lesson. So for instance, if we're in module 1.1, it will be lesson 1.1. And then when you finish all of that lesson, you will move on to the second lesson for that module. So each module will have 2 lessons. There are learning resources in there for you to help you along the way in each lesson. And as I mentioned before, you do have 2 weeks to complete each module. The only time you will not is going to be this first week. That's because this is the course orientation week, so you will not have 2 weeks to complete module 1. The first thing you're going to start off with is a syllabus. You are going to review the syllabus and just look at it. Download, I do recommend you downloading and saving it. That way you can know the course expectations and how the course is running, the content, the goals, those sorts of things. I also went ahead and added a syllabus addendum where it talks about AI usage. So please be able to read through that and understand, and email me should you have any questions. So once you get through the syllabus, it's going to then take you into talking about the course modules and how they're broken up. The next one's going to be our textbook and resources. So this is important because it gives you the ISBN for this textbook. This is going to be the edition that you need. You will note that we are not going to be using the MindTap auxiliary materials, so please do not worry about that. That requires a separate access code, but you do not need to purchase it because we will not be using it. I also included some key resources for this course that we will be using in this class as well. The next thing is the grading procedures. Make sure that you read through that. You're going to see how all the course activities are broken down and how much points each thing is worth, as well as the possible number of points you can get this semester. It talks about the late work policy, the grading time frame, and discussion board deadlines and rubrics for grading. So please make sure you read through this. It's an important section. The next thing is the course homepage, which I talked a little bit about as soon as we got started, and then the technical requirements for the course. So once you complete lesson 1.1, you will move on to lesson 1.2. Again, this is really breaking down into how you're going to participate in class, how I'm going to be participating with you, and some special projects and things that you're going to be completing in this course. So the first thing you're going to look at is your class schedule. This is a link to our course schedule. I highly suggest that you download and save it and print it out. Although this is an online course and you can get on when your schedule allows you to, you still have assignment due dates that you're responsible for. So it's important for you to know what those are. So go ahead and download that and save it and print it out so you will have it. Communication tells you how I will be interacting with you, how you can communicate with me, how the discussions are laid out. The next thing you also need to be looking at is the case study project. So the case study project is quite a big portion of our course. We introduce them to you in Module 2. There are 4 case study projects that you will be completing this semester. They're listed here. So just make sure that you read through this section. The other important thing that you're going to be required to do in this course is called the Inclusive Practices Fieldwork. And this is where you're going to be completing a fieldwork to deepen your understanding about exceptional children. This assignment is a requirement, meaning if you do not complete the fieldwork, then you will not pass the course, because this is essentially taking the place of you being in the classroom as a field experience. We do follow the standards of NAEYC, and this is considered a key component of the course. This assignment has lots of parts to it. Just like when you choose a child for the case study project, you will be choosing a child for a case persona, and you will use it throughout. That child will be used throughout this entire project. So it's important that you read through and understand each part of the assignment. I will be sending a separate video on this, and I also be available to meet through Zoom or Teams should you have any questions, since this is such a large part of our classwork and a big component. And this is considered a key assessment in this early childhood course, so it's important that you understand the assignment requirements. The rubric is attached, as well as all the activity templates that you will be using to complete the project and all the parts of the project. And after that, you will also find the child personas, where you will be choosing one of the children to use for this project. Okay, so just make sure you read through that as well. Also, the next section will be quizzes on how you will be quizzed in this course. So this course will have 5 quizzes. You will have a quiz for each of the modules 2 through 6. So modules 2 through 6 will have a quiz at the end. They are multiple choice, and you will have an hour to complete each quiz. You will only be allowed to make up 1 quiz for the entire term, and there will be a time that you will be able to complete that during the makeup period. Okay, so just make sure you read through that and understand the requirements for quizzes in this course. Now, after you read through the Module 1 Getting Started, you will see underneath it, again, I have listed the Inclusive Practices Fieldwork Assignment and the personas. So please make sure that you read through those, and then also read through the persona, which you will choose one of them. Now, students will be emailing me their persona choice. That way it can get approved before you begin. I also went ahead and listed the case study project. We talked a little bit about it in the Module 1 Getting Started lesson, but here is going to be the actual case study project. And it will also have the rubric. So this rubric that I have here is going to be for the entire project, which means it's for the entire semester. So see, when you click on the assignment portion, you're going to see it kind of gives you a little synopsis into what it is, how much it is worth, and it links the rubric there. The next thing after that is going to be your rubric for the entire project. So each section that you complete, it shows you how you will be graded for each of those sections. Underneath the rubric, you're going to find all of the case study children. So there are 6 children in all. You will only be choosing one, and you will email me your case study child choice. So that's going to complete the Getting Started module. I wanted to go ahead and get started talking a little bit about Module 2, which will start on January 27th. So you'll see here, this Module 2 is going to begin our actual course content. It's laid out the same way as Module 1 was. So you'll see here, the first thing in each module is always going to be the overview. So the overview is going to give you a summary of what we're going to be completing in Module 2, what you'll have to read, what you need to watch, if you have to post anything, and taking your quiz. After that, you're going to see the learning objectives. So these are going to be our module objectives and our course objectives. So we have course learning objectives for the entire course, and it shows you how each of the modules are connected and how they support the course outcomes. As well as I give you some guided questions to help you through each of your lessons. Then I give you the reading resources. This means the things that you're required to read. So you will see here it tells you which chapters in the textbooks you should read, as well as some additional resources of links that you can review and you should focus on and how they're connected with the textbook chapters. So you'll see in Module 1, in Module 2, we're going to be reading chapters 1, 2, and 3 of the textbook. And you'll see here that I went ahead and linked the DEC and AEYC position statement, as well as a document here for recommended practices in early intervention. And then lastly, in the overview section, you're going to see key vocabulary. So these terms are essential for understanding the concepts in Module 2. Some of them will be terminology you will see in your textbook chapter, and others are going to be just in the lessons for each module. Now, after you get through the overview, you're going to see your actual lessons. And as I mentioned earlier, you have 2 lessons. I know it seems like a lot, but each module lasts 2 weeks. So that means that you could do a lesson a week. So just make sure that you think of this as linear, where you're just going down and checking off. So as you're going through each section, it will check off, as you see here, that you have completed that part of the lesson. So let's look at lesson 2.1. So lesson 2.1 is the first lesson is going to start out with talking about how do you care and educate children with disabilities in early childhood program. And I'm not going to go through each section every module when I give you updates, but for the sake of this being the first time you're looking at the course layout and the lessons, I thought it would be beneficial to go through so you can get an understanding of not only the layout, but how it would flow and what important things I would include inside of a lesson. So you'll see here in each lesson, it will always have some information, right? Maybe some key questions, and then it would maybe include a video. Okay, so these are links. They will open in a new window, and this is essential to understanding the content a little bit deeper in addition to reading your chapters. Okay, so the second section you're going to see, we're talking about how do you define inclusion, right? And it asks some questions along the way to really help guide your learning. You know, what are some of the common features of environments that define them as inclusive? And along the way, in addition to videos, you're going to see some documents that I throw in there. These are additional resources. This just is to give you a deeper understanding. I highly suggest, I know it can seem like a lot, but I do this on purpose because I want you to use these valuable resources. So if you don't have time when you're going through the lesson, you know, go ahead and click on it and skim it and then save it. These are going to be great resources for you later on. So just make sure you're doing that throughout the semester. Okay, and then continuing with the lesson, we start to talk about benefits of inclusion. So what are the benefits for both children who have disabilities and those who do not? Again, you'll see I included a video link or I included a document list that you might want to explore. So this is just something that is going to help you along with your learning. Okay, the next section in this lesson 2.1 is talking about what are the challenges you're going to face, right? And then you'll see here, sometimes I might give you an audio or a document or publication. Okay, so you're going to see that it continues to be the same kind of layout. So the next section we talk about the types of programs that provide inclusive environments for young children. Okay, and then I give you a little background and then a video of a child's story of inclusion. Okay, and then we have best practices. You know, what are the principles that identify best practices when working with early childhood inclusion classroom settings? And then it just goes on to talk about, well, what are the best practices and dives a little bit deeper and give you some examples of how would you create accessible learning environments, that's access. How do we encourage play, learning, and membership, that's participation. How do we help parents and providers find information and assistance, that's the support piece, right? And then we dive a little bit deeper talking about professional organizations that are really supportive when it comes to these best practices. And then again, we give you a list of these 66 practices. Okay, so that would include the first lesson, lesson 2.1, and then we begin with the second lesson. Okay, and it's going to follow the same flow, and you'll see here it's very linear, talking about how do you become an advocate for the beginning of special education. Talked about important legislation, what kind of case laws influence the way that special education is today. What are some non-discriminatory laws that you need to be aware of? What is IDEA, which stands for Individuals Disability Education Act, which is really important when we're talking about legislation and special education, right? And what are the parts of IDEA that you should be aware of? What are those 6 foundational principles? So as you go through lesson 2.2, you're going to see it's really solely looking at case law, looking at legislation, and then finishing with how do you be a successful team when you're working in inclusive settings. Now, after you get through both lessons in those 2 weeks, you're going to see an activities and assessment section. Okay, so at the end of each module, you will also have a quiz that you will complete, and then you also have an assignment. So it could be a discussion assignment that you will post to a discussion board, or it might be something that you would complete and submit to Dropbox. So this week you will be completing a discussion activity, okay, in addition to taking your Module 2 quiz. The instructions here are specifically talking about inclusion, which was what we explored when we were going through Module 2. Okay, so I list the instructions here as well as the links of the videos that you need to watch. So you will complete this activity. And don't forget, when you are doing a discussion board, you are required to reply to at least one other classmate's discussion post. So remember, Module 2 is important. It's a really good way for us to start out because we're talking about what are the policies in education, what are the legislation, looking at the case laws, what's best practices. So this is really going to be the beginning, right? That section, that piece of the foundation of this course of how we start out. So make sure that you go through both those lessons. Now remember, it does tell you when it starts. And then when you look down in the activities and assessment section, you will see when the assignments will open and when they will close, okay? So just make sure you look at the due dates on those. I also want you to go back and make sure you read it, that you have read through the Getting Started module, that you read through the Inclusive Practices Fieldwork, as well as the Case Study Project. All right, well that completes the orientation and Module 2. Before I go real quick, I kind of wanted to talk to you about some things that I wanted you to pay close attention to when you are reading for your required reading this first module, Module 2. Is I want you to start making connections to the lessons and what you're reading in the textbook, right? So we said Module 2 is really important because it's really going to be talking about, well, not only how do we define inclusion, right, and the challenges and best practices, but looking at the legislation component of it. So Chapter 1 in your textbook is really going to go along with that first lesson where we're talking about, well, how do we define inclusion, right? We're talking about interactions with children. What are the benefits of inclusion? What are some of the challenges? So you're going to see those connections with Chapter 1 and Lesson 2.1. Then in Chapter 2 is where we get into the connections with Lesson 2.2. So we're talking about the legislation, federal, like IDEA, and how that is connected to this movement, right? Those case laws we talked about. Handicap for Children's Early Education Assistant, Handicap for All Children. What are some of the latest updates on IDEA? So we're looking all at not only case laws and legislation, but how this is important for inclusive classrooms. And as an educator, you should be aware of the law and legislation. And then Chapter 3 finishes out and kind of combines them both, because we're talking about what are those inclusive programs for young children, right? Talking about preschools and Head Starts. What does research say about it? What are some great practices? How do we communicate with families and develop those strong partnerships and relationships with them? So you're going to see connections between both of the lessons with Chapter 3. All right, well, that is all I have for you. Again, I will be putting the video up for the inclusive practices, and also if you read through the case study assignment or the inclusive practices and watch the video and you still have questions, please feel free to email me and we can schedule a time to meet. All right, I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'm excited to get this semester started and look forward to working with each and every one of you. Until next time, take care.